Yo, what's good everyone? OJ here. Welcome back to another video. Today, I wanted to discuss some recent news about the Nintendo Switch and the NPD sales and the lifetime sales prospects of the Nintendo Switch. There is a lot of talk about how fast this system is selling, but when you compare the numbers to other systems that have done well, the Switch is on track for a record-breaking Nintendo system. Like seriously, it's going to be pretty good here because if you're looking at it through the first 3 years, the Nintendo Switch is actually tracking faster than the PlayStation 4 and almost as fast as the Nintendo Wii back in the day. But let's first talk about some of the numbers here from the recent NPD. So according to Daniel Ahmed over on Twitter, there was some numbers that were leaked out from the NPD recently. And in this past April, the Nintendo Switch sold over 808,000 units for the month. Now the NPD, that tracks the US sales here in the United States. So it's not Canada or all of South America, it's just the United States. But the United States is the biggest video game sales market. So how the companies do here in America is very important. And the Nintendo Switch is rolling right along. I think that's like almost 20 straight NPDs or somewhere near that figure in terms of what the best selling system was, which was very Wii-like back in the day. But there was one other pretty staggering thing that came from these numbers here. The Nintendo Switch sold more units in April 2020. It broke the United States record that the Wii held back in 2008. Think about that for a second. A record for home consoles that has been around for more than a decade, and the Wii sold like gangbusters back then. It was pretty much sold out for like what, 2 to 3 years straight, or it was hard to find the Wii. So to see the Nintendo Switch start to break some of those Wii records definitely is good for the long-term prospects of the system. But let's talk about that just a little bit, right? Because I did mention before that the system has sold more than the PlayStation 4 when you launch align them. So in the first 3 years, you compare the PlayStation 4 to the Nintendo Switch, the Nintendo Switch is doing better. And to be honest, doesn't seem like it's going to be slowing down anytime soon. I think one of the biggest driving factors here is the Nintendo Switch Lite. Without that system, I don't think Nintendo's going to be doing quite as good because they needed to get a cheaper price point so they can pull in a lot of other customers that were kind of like, on the fence about things, didn't want to spend $300 and have to deal with all that. You just get yourself a nice little portable system or a replacement for the Nintendo 3DS. It's easier for parents to say, okay, no moving parts with the Joy-Cons and all that. It's just a modular system, so it's going to be a bit more durable. So to me, it was a very good call, like I said last year, to release a Nintendo Switch Lite, especially when they did with all those games surrounding it, like Ni no Kuni and also like Legend of Zelda. It was just great to have those games come out, and it did really well, and it's continuing to do really well as a secondary system or multiple household systems, Switch household systems. So it makes sense the Nintendo Switch is starting to really ramp up in these sales as soon as they got that $200 price point locked down, and it should be continuing here. We do have some really good software that has helped moving systems. Obviously, we all know the impact that Animal Crossing is having. Animal Crossing, no matter what you want to say about the game or what people are doing in the game or whatever the case is, the game is a bona fide big system seller. It's a system helper. It really does get people to be excited about the system, go out there and pick it up, in addition to all the other games that have already came out. Because if you look at the NPD sales with software wise, Nintendo's evergreen games continue to sell continuously well over each year and over each month. Legend of Zelda, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Pokemon Sword and Shield, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, all of these games are collectively helping to sell systems, and then another game comes out and bam, it's just even more people, depending on what game it is, that says, okay, now I'm going to get the system along with this game, and this game. Maybe they've been saving up or whatever the case is. But I do want to talk a little bit more about the true type of 100 million seller, because yes, Nintendo has had systems that have broken 100 million units before, if you want to go into portables as well, because the Switch is unique. It's a hybrid, so it's a portable and it's also a home console. But if we're in the home console realm, right, if we're in anything that Nintendo's even considered a home console, this is very rare territory for Nintendo. We recently got Nintendo's financial investors results, and they were at 55.7 million. Obviously, they've been topping numbers in the charts here, so it's safe to say they're at 57, 58 million, somewhere in that range here, and that's pretty much encroaching the NES, the system that essentially saved the industry back in the mid-80s. So it's incredible to see that in 3 years, going on a little bit more than that, it's going to pass up one of the most legendary systems of all time for Nintendo. But pretty much after that, it's been a downhill type of slide for Nintendo, going from the NES to the Super Nintendo to the N64 to the GameCube. And it really wasn't till the Wii that Nintendo even found any type of success of what they had back in the 80s with the NES. But some people put a little bit of an asterisk by that, and I think that's why I'm titling this like with the whole true 100 million seller, because Nintendo got so many fans that I wouldn't say they were fake fans, but they got so many people that just bought it for like Wii Sports, or just bought it for some Wii Play or the casual type of games, or just Mario Kart or a Wii Mini. And while that's all fine and dandy, these aren't the type of people that are going to go out there consistently and buy your systems and be dedicated to the craft of Nintendo and what they're doing. It's not like the PlayStation fan base where they're out there buying the PS1, buying the PS2, buying the PS3, buying the PS4. Every single time was that dedicated group of people that, you know, PlayStation is always going to sell 80 million units plus, no matter how disastrous their start is or their finish. Heck, we saw that with the PlayStation 3. Disastrous, but they rebounded and still sold a lot of systems. Yes, profit-wise, things weren't necessarily great, but at least the brand was out there in terms of compared to what other systems were doing. So Nintendo needs to build a base like that. That's where the Switch kind of comes into play, and I think will be their first true 100 million unit seller, and also be their first true system that they can go forward with. They don't have to sit there and say, let's think of a new gimmick, right? Because that's pretty much what they've been doing since, I would say, the N64. I mean, the N64 and GameCube, I think there was a lot of crossover between those two systems in terms of what they were trying to do. But I think after that, right, the GameCube to the Wii, there was a lot of different stuff they were trying to do. Then like the Wii to the Wii U, yes, it was trying to be the same, but there was a whole new gimmick with the tablet. It was no longer something that was as simple as a TV remote. You put this big old tablet in front of people and people were confused. The casual audience was like, I'm not buying that. I mean, I need my Wii Sports. I can just play that. There was no point. So now that they're not constantly shifting from like one gimmick to another thing here, and they've got something that works, and I think they're going to stick with this hybrid type of device, this could be their first true 100 million unit seller, where they build new fans, where they build that core audience and bring back the people who played GameCube and who played the N64 and who played the Wii. Some of the core gamers that were even on there that said, I'm not buying the Wii U. People who played the Super Nintendo and the NES, bring back those people that you know they're going to be dedicated to the system, and then also tack on new fans and kind of build your legacy from there. That's kind of where I see the Nintendo Switch at this point. It's not something that's going to be a one and done, a gimmick that's like, oh man, there's a big tablet or there's a bunch of motion controls that kind of fade out after a while. It's a functional, good gimmick that has been proven in many other industries, right? Like look at cell phones, for example. Now everybody has cell phones. Look at portable music players. Now that was a thing back in the day. People were like, well, wait a minute, why do you want a portable music player? You can have way better quality with a record player when you just go home. And then Sony was like, well, we got this thing called the Walkman, right? And it was expensive as heck at the time compared to the quality with the cassette tapes and what you can get on records. Obviously the quality was nowhere near as good and it was more expensive. But still, people wanted that portability. They wanted to be able to listen to the music anywhere that they wanted to. So I think the Switch kind of has its own Sony Walkman, right? And I think that going forward, you can build a base off of that. You can build a real fan base that's not going to be looking for the next gimmick or whatever the case is. That's going to be saying, okay, this is what I want. I want the ability to be able to play console quality on my TV, on the go, buy another dock, plug it in right there. It makes way more sense than what Nintendo's done before, and this base is going to stick with Nintendo outside of them just ditching them like they did before with other systems, right? So as long as Nintendo keeps the games coming and they keep that functional gimmick of the Switch and continue to add, I always say that this is the genesis of Nintendo's, I would say, like rebirth, or Nintendo's being back, right? I made a video about that. Nintendo's back and it's glorious. I think this is the genesis of that. Not the Sega Genesis, that's a great system too, but not that, but the beginning of what Nintendo needs to do going forward and advancing the tech. Little rough at this point, heck, I'll admit, right? People talking about the new systems coming up, you got 4K and you got all this exciting new technology and everything. But at the end of the day, Nintendo still has plenty of time to really work on their next system, make sure it's right, custom NVIDIA Tegra chip, whatever they need to do to really advance things and really sell more Nintendo Switch systems and get to that true 100 million out there and put out some amazing games. We got Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2, potentially have maybe even Splatoon 3 and other games that are going to be coming. So there's still more firepower left in the tank for the Nintendo Switch. Also, what about like a Mario Kart 9? I think they can drop that as well, then just do the same thing again whenever the next Nintendo Switch comes out, or even backwards compatibility, and just say like you have like a patch to make it run better, or maybe higher resolution, or whatever the heck they want to do. Mario Kart 9 Deluxe Edition, they can just do that. So to me, Nintendo has a good plan going forward. This is obviously Nintendo's most successful home console in quite some time. And also another thing with this here, guys, is that it eliminates the need for Nintendo to worry about multiple different things here. They don't have to worry about making the portable games, then also making the home console games, then people complaining about which one's coming to which. They just have one system and all their games come to that system, which gives them more of an advantage when it comes to getting sales and third-party games as well. Getting portable versions of games, despite maybe not running as good as the other systems and stuff like that, it's still a portable version that you can't get anywhere else. A lot of people like to travel. So it just makes sense to me that Nintendo continues to go forward with this, and they're going to have great success with it. And like I said, it'll be their first true 100 million unit seller with real fans, and not these people that are just here for Wii Sports, then going to ditch the system or don't know what a Wii U is because they don't want to do any research or anything like that. So what are you guys' thoughts when it comes to what I have to say here on the Nintendo Switch and it's breaking the 57 million unit mark here, them breaking some records with the Nintendo Switch with MPD? I'd love to hear what you guys have to say in the comment section below. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Check out the links in the description. We've got Twitter. Go and give us a follow on there. Stay up to date on all latest gaming news and information. Also, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and share this video if you can. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll catch you for the next one. Peace.